Alright, this is Pandemic of Maeve US versus Nefarion, so let's just sort of jump on into this, so to speak. This is a three-phase fight. In the first phase, Onyxia will be up at the beginning, and so we've got our Paladin picking him up right now, or up, sorry. And you can just sort of DPS her for the first 30 seconds or so. During those first 30 seconds, you can see these void zones that Nefarion's dropping, which will spawn skeletons. And there's Nefarion. So once Nefarion is done dropping skeletons, he'll drop 6 of them on 10-man. Pick them up, and you have to split the two dragons apart. They need to be 60 yards away from each other, or else they get a 100% attack speed buff, which will very, very quickly kill your tanks. So here you see we've CC'd a lot of these skeletons. That's because they all have an energy bar. They start with 100 energy, and they lose 2 energy approximately every 1 second. So that means they are up for 50 seconds. Once they reach 0 energy, they kind of collapse. You can see they're all starting to die off there. So once Nefarion comes down, you want most of your DPS to switch onto him. That's because Phase 1 ends when Onyxia dies. And if you notice, she's got a little bar next to her nameplate. That's the electrical charge bar. You need to kill her before that reaches 100%, but you want to get as much DPS on Nefarion as possible because this is very easily the easiest healing phase. So there you go, we've just had lightning bolts come down from the sky. Every 10% of Nefarion's health, regardless of what phase he's in, he will use that. It deals approximately 100k damage to everybody in the raid, but it can be mitigated by things like Divine Sacrifice, any defensive cooldowns you have, etc. So you'll notice on Onyxia, her charge gauge has gone up significantly faster, and that is because we have pulled off most of our DPS and gone on Nefarion. The more DPS put on Onyxia, the slower that gauge will rise, but you still need to keep her alive for as long as possible. So we tried to aim for about 75% on Nefarion going into Phase 2. So we waited for 2 of those crackles, that's the lightning coming down from the sky, and then had all of our DPS switched back to Onyxia except for we've got Rain, and we've got Downs, our Fury Warrior, on Onyxia because it just doesn't make sense for melee to switch. So there Onyxia goes down, and this is a very long fight, so Druids, well, Feral and Boomkin Druids, innervate your healers, they will greatly appreciate it. So at the start of Phase 2, the room fills with lava and you have to go up onto these platforms. There's one ad on each of the 3 platforms. They all need to have interrupts on them. They will cast something called Blast Wave, or is it Blast Nova? I can't remember. But they will cast it about once every 12 seconds. That means only one person is really necessary for the interrupts, as long as they have like a consistent interrupt. But they all need to be interrupted because if that Blast Wave goes off, it does 30 to 40k damage to the entire raid, not just the people on that platform. So yeah, you'll need interrupts on all of them. Now, Phase 2 can end one of 2 ways. The first way is if you kill all 3 ads. Second way is if you wait 3 minutes. So you see Crackle just went off there. We still need to be pushing DPS on this phase. So we have myself and the other tank on this ad, and then we have our DPS DK Casimir on one of the other ones handling interrupts, and our Fury Warrior on the other. But we have those 2 ads just have the melee on them, while the ranged focus down Nefarion. This is the most healing intensive of the 3 phases. However, it's still a good idea to be pushing those crackles. I know it's a lot of damage, but the shorter Phase 3 lasts, the better. So, surprise of surprises, the ad with the 2 tanks on it is actually the first one to go down. So at this point, we actually just sort of can sit there idly. And when you're in this sort of situation, it's a good idea to just sort of take stock of where your raid is, watch health bars, if your healers need some help, maybe pop a tranquility or something so they can save some of their mana. Now, we actually pushed this phase by killing the ads rather than waiting for the full time, because one of our healers was starting to get low on mana. Timed it kind of poorly because the crackle is going off right now. Yeah, it's not a good thing. But it's okay, we've got this transition phase to sort of heal up. I pop Survival Instincts just so no chance of me going down. So now that only Nefarion is left, we like to tank him up against a wall. This takes care of the tail swipe and the breath. And you can sort of see in the corner there's been some fire patch that has spawned on the ground. That fire will spread following whoever is closest to it, sort of like the fire in hard mode Memoron. And if that fire touches any of the skeletons that respawned in Phase 1, it will reactivate them with 100 energy and make them immune to all CC. So that's what the Onyxia tank gets to do in this phase, is they pick up the ads and they kite them away from the fire. Now, there's actually not too much point in moving them too quickly, just because you want to maintain your survivability, face front and all that. And also you don't want to outrange your healers, because there's still quite a lot of damage going out. You just saw there was another crackle. And the key really for that off-tank is to keep the ads away from fire as long as possible. If you can get them to run out of energy, that is, keep them out of fire for 50 seconds, they will fall down and they will lose all of the stacks of their buff they get. As time goes on, those ads do get more and more powerful, and once they are about to despawn, if you have a whole pack of them at that level, they will start doing tank killing damage. Particularly with crackles going on. So, the only real purpose to moving Nefarion in this phase is to keep the fire spread under control. You see we just got a fire patch right next to us. So, need to move Nefarion. Anytime you're moving any kind of dragon, really, it's a good idea to watch the tail and the head, because of breaths, cleaves, and tail swipes. But if for some reason you have to turn them, always turn the tail through them. It's better to get the tail swipe than it is to get the breath. So the reason that you want Phase 3 to last as short of time as possible is because you can see the fire is starting to get out of control. It does despawn after a while. You see this patch just next to us just despawned. But he starts spawning it so frequently that it starts getting a little ridiculous. So here's where things got kind of crazy. Our off-tank just went down, because you see the ads are ginormous. But we had Nefarion down to 3%, whatever, so just pushing everything we've got. CCs, all that, fears, army, anything we could do. It was kind of crazy. There we just lost our third healer. And there we go. That was probably one of the more satisfying kills ever.